Good day, grade 12 students. This is Teacher Ira and welcome back to our Philosophy of Human Person class. Last meeting, you learned the different methods or techniques used by philosophers to test truth claims, the correspondence theory which shows the relationship of text and actions, the context principle which shows the notion of sense and reference, and lastly, the phenomenological existential which tells us that we reflect through our experiences because we are conscious beings. So today, we are going to discuss all about the schools of thought as useful ladders, specifically hermeneutical role and philosophical analysis. So here are the objectives that you should attain after our lesson. Demonstrate understanding of the various ways of doing philosophy, and realize that the methods of doing philosophy lead to wisdom and truth. So there are two kinds of people in the world. Those who manage what they know and don't know what they manage by Put's law. Employing methodologies in every activity allows us to claim otherwise that a philosopher knows what he manages and he manages what he knows. The methodologies are like useful ladders and you need this when you engage in philosophy. So let's get started. Unveiling truth through methods. First method is known as the hermeneutics. So do you have any idea about hermeneutics? Philosophical reflection involves a lot of analysis, interpretation, and communication. So this shows how language is involved in every activity. Keep in mind that thought and language are intrinsically connected. Because language is complicated, there is a need for tools to help us interpret text. So hermeneutics is the theory and methodology of interpretation, especially the interpretation of biblical text, wisdom literature, and philosophical text. So text interpretation is a goal-directed activity and is concerned with the significance of a text or the meaning. So you learn to decode the actual intention of the writer. Hermeneutics is concerned with problems that arise when dealing with meaningful human actions and the products of such actions, most importantly text. A philosopher always played the role of hermeneut. Its etymology is traced to the mythical god Hermes, whose role is to deliver messages and so an exact meaning of the message is expected to be conveyed. The Bible is a text that is interpreted using hermeneutics. The purpose of hermeneutics is to bridge the gap between our minds and the minds of the biblical writers through a thorough knowledge of the original languages and ancient history. As the methods of study of an ancient text written over the span of 1,000 years in multiple languages, the biblical hermeneutics is understandably a difficult method. Its goal is to discover truths and values in the Bible. So through hermeneutics, a person may try to discern what the intended meaning of the passage is, whether for readers at that time it was written or for us today. Habermas' hermeneutical theory. Hermeneutics is about one's capability for making linguistic communication understandable. Hermeneutics is helpful in making decisions on practical questions. And philosophical hermeneutics is in the service of skillful understanding, explanation, convincing, and persuading. With the use of rationality, it may help society to create a discourse that is not limited to the ideologies of elite groups like the bourgeoisie. Hermeneutics must make sure that the discourse must be cognizant of the communicative power of the citizens. This makes hermeneutics lean toward critical theory, which is specifically applied in politics, law, and ethics. A hermeneut should be able to look at how actors participate in the discourse by activating their rational potentials, employing ordinary language, working for common goals, and creating a life world as a result of hermeneutic mediation. To philosophize and interpret in this way will make a philosopher understand his life in society better, especially during times of conflict. A very different approach older than hermeneutics also uses language. It is known as the philosophical analysis. Philosophical analysis by Russell and Moore proceeds by analyzing statements or propositions using logic to reveal thoughts. Analytic philosophers use logical terms to resolve the meaning of the statements by reducing them to basic facts. The idea is that an analysis of language reveals thought. Analytic philosophers thus engage themselves at uncovering the logical structures that underlie our statements. For instance, this material you are reading is a textbook, so how do you know if it is true? It is true when you are presently reading this material and is actually a textbook. And it is false when this material is being read aloud to you and it is not a textbook. Remember, philosophical analysis is useful in clarifying thought, so let us study another statement. Men are cheaters. So what can you say about this? If you say it is in fact expressing all men are cheaters, the statement can easily be falsified. All is a universal quantifier. To say it is true, it is to say that there is no single man who is not a cheater. How about this one? Some men are cheaters. Some in logic means at least one. That way, you do not claim more than you have evidence for. Now, the question is, how can we avoid misunderstandings? Misunderstandings can be avoided through clarity. Remember that words have several meanings. Misunderstandings can be avoided when we are clear about the meaning of what is being expressed. So that ends our lesson for today. If you have questions, please email me at moy.ytimbreza@gmail.com. Have a great learning day!